Visit virtually any city these days, and no matter where in the world it is, you are bound to find its own public bike rental scheme. China has about 60 of its own, while many of the European cycling hotbeds like Denmark, France, Germany and the Netherlands have also taken them under their wings. Perhaps what has made bike sharing schemes such a smash hit is their accessibility. You can hire them in all shapes and sizes, and the fact they tend to be no thrills and sturdy only boosts their appeal to a wider audience. But how did bicycle rental first come into existence? What different types are available across the globe? And what has made them such a roaring success, particularly since the turn of the millennium? By all accounts, the public bikes phenomenon stems back to Amsterdam in 1965, when Dutch inventor Lud Schillenpenny came up with a plan to alleviate the rise of pollution in cars. His simple plan was to encourage people to find any of their old bicycles and paint them white. Then, they were to leave them anywhere in Amsterdam and tell others to use them. This became known as the White Bicycle Movement. But all was not quite what it seemed. In fact, the plan actually came from a group of Dutch anarchists known as Provo, who intended to unsettle the establishment. They felt like the white bike symbolises simplicity and hygiene, as opposed to the gaudiness and filth of the authoritarian car. So, if anyone at Amsterdam urgently needed transport, an unlocked white bicycle became the new alternative. This upset the authorities, and police seized the bikes due to a law forbidding unlocked bikes to be left in the city. But Provo weren't done yet. When the bikes were returned to the group, they were fitted with combination locks in order to meet the legal requirements, with the unlock code painted on the bike so anybody could still open and use it. The project probably had a greater impact long term than it did at the time. There are only about 50 bikes available, most of which were hardly used, and the bicycle sharing scheme was discontinued the following year. Thereafter, it was not until the 1990s that bike sharing schemes made a significant return. France's Rochelle system came into effect in 1974, with bikes left on the racks by the harbour, but was the only real exception to the rule until then. Meanwhile, Denmark's 2Gen business, established in 1991 in the town of Farsø, is still going strong today. From then on, a number of other schemes far and wide began to sprout up in the 1990s. In England, in the likes of Cambridge and Portsmouth, in Portland and Austin in the US, in Copenhagen and in Norway. However, all but Austin's 1997 yellow bike scheme has since been discontinued, although they helped pave the way for a huge influx of schemes all over the world in the 2000s. In many cities these days, bike sharing schemes are just as crucial to the infrastructure and public transport as any other means of getting from A to B. For instance, since launching in July 2010, more than 73.5 million journeys have been made in London using hire bikes called Boris Bikes. Named after then Mayor Boris Johnson, under whose tenure the scheme was launched. It has since gone on to be sponsored by Barclays and now Santander, hence its current name, Santander Cycles. Why were they such a success? Perhaps because they could appeal to anyone. Cycling regulars, novices, tourists, commuters, just to name a few. In an overflowing goldfish bowl like London, these bikes made moving around the city far more pleasant than taking the tube, for instance, as well as the obvious health benefits. Indeed, despite the initial widespread scepticism towards the plans, few could have predicted just how profitable they still are today. Similarly, the New York City bike scheme now boasts a daily ridership of about 50,000 and more than 750 stations, having been in effect since May 2013. Elsewhere, China continues to dominate with 78,000 bikes offered for temporary use by the biggest company in the industry, Hangzhou Public Bicycle. Beyond that, almost every other major bike share program can be found in China. But technology is now helping bike share schemes thrive. Another reason for the surge in popularity of bike sharing schemes is their ease of access. Nowadays, punters can rent bikes directly through smartphone apps, with bike sharing companies like the New York-based Jump Bikes, for example. Essentially, you can pick up and drop off your hired bike anywhere through your phone's GPS and the company's app. The aforementioned China-based Mobike is one of the leading lights in this category. Their bikes are activated by downloading a QR code through the company's app and now operate in a multitude of countries, including Italy, Germany, the Netherlands and Thailand. Alternatively, Lime, based in California, offer $1 for a 30-minute ride, as well as electric bikes and pay-per-use scooters. And in Berlin, you even have the option of riding a little bike, whereby through their official smartphone app, you can sign up for membership at €3 per year and start riding in no time. The first 30 minutes cost €1.50 before an additional charge every half an hour of €1, while a full 24-hour bicycle hire is priced at just €15.50. There's 350 drop-off zones all over the city, so you'll never be too far from one of them in Berlin. Don't worry if you don't have a smartphone either, because you can also call the phone number on the handlebars. Then enter the release code using the display and you'll be up and running. That said, it would be remiss to suggest there isn't a dockless bike hire scheme that hasn't encountered its fair share of issues too. Many bikes have been abandoned or lost as a result of such programs. Take the 18,000 misplaced almost overnight in Dallas, Texas, or the 10,000 abandoned at bicycle graveyards in China in 2018. Vandalism issues have also dogged the industry's big hitters, namely Mobike, who cited this as a reason for pulling out the European market. But for both affordable rates and ease of use, you can't really beat them. Just leave them as you'd like others to find them. Bike sharing is a soaring market and is only projected to enjoy constant growth for some time yet. And as the business gets bigger and better all the time, the bike sharing future looks bright. There's no doubt that bikes play a key part in the future of urban mobility. The 15-minute city is now at the forefront of many city planners' minds, and access to bike schemes can be vital in bringing that vision to the fore. And it's not just analog bikes that are helping people move around the cities faster. Electric scooters and e-bike sharing schemes undoubtedly have their place too, enabling everybody to move seamlessly around their cities.